When I close my eyes, I can feel the way.
You're listening to Stirring It Up with Anita Mitchell.
Sunshine and warm breeze are taking me to that state.
On the True Oldies channel.
I feel like Florida. I feel like Florida today.
Now, here's Anita Mitchell.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Inside Out on this wonderful Friday. Hope you had a great work week and are going into the weekend with doing some fun things in our wonderful county. I always like to talk a little bit about my other real job. And this isn't a job. This is easy and this is fun. And I get wonderful guests that I get to share with you. But in my real job, I am vice president of the cruise line, now Margaritaville at Sea. And it's been a real incredible transformation. And if you don't know that we're here at the wonderful Port of Palm Beach, so there's no traffic, you don't have to drive to Fort Lauderdale, and it's one night over, one night back to the wonderful Grand Bahamas, and you can get a package deal and stay over there if you want. We are the best kept secret, I've decided, in this area, because I don't know why nobody knows we're here, but we're going to be doing more marketing. And there's a lot of Jimmy Buffett. People assume he's on the ship every time. He is not. He will pop up, I think, this next year once we get it all finished. It's in the water. People are enjoying it. There's still a little work to do, but every time I'm on the ship, there's a little bit more that I see. So it's a tweak here, and all of it's upgrades. It's really pretty. So if you want a good getaway every other day with the one night over, one night back, and our staff is second to none. You really will enjoy it. If you're going to go, let me know, because sometimes I'm on the ship. I'd love to welcome you. We've got a great captain, wonderful hotel director. It's the best value anywhere. I said we've got the best ocean view of any hotel in Florida, I think. So there you are. I had to say that. This month is June. Then I pre-record. So if you're listening to my wonderful guest today in July, the cruise line goes out on the even days, and every other month it changes. So there you are. And please do let me know if you need any help or you're going to cruise with us, because I always like to know that, because I'm based up here. And so today, as always, we just are lucky. I get all these interesting people doing interesting things, and as you know, Inside Out is more than your job. You're more than your job. So we're going to talk about their interesting jobs, because everybody's, to me, fascinating. And then we're going to talk about their journey, which seems to be the other thing that you all like to know about. Today we're going to play baseball. And we've got a really cool guy who I got the pleasure of knowing when we had the spring training cruise with the major leaguers on our ship. And Rick was nice enough to bring his little boy. So Rick Ankiel is here today, and I want to welcome him. He was a major player for the Cardinals and other stuff he's going to share with us. Hey, Rick.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's just really great to have you here, because as he knows, I had a chat with him when he was on the ship. I'm from the Midwest, so therefore I love baseball, and he knows I've already told him how annoyed I am that the Cleveland Indians changed their name. So
I think everybody agrees with you on that one.
I don't even get it.
I don't
Did
either.
they take a poll and figure out that no, they're called the Indians because they had the first major American Indian to play in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, it's tough to say Cleveland Guardians. And I even know when I'm watching an ESPN show or something, I feel like you always see someone still say Indians. They can't get past it.
Good.
Or the track.
Good.
Yeah.
I've never picketed, but on this, my grandfather's turning over in his grave. So thanks for coming and spending a little time with us. Take us back to where you're from and how you started in baseball.
Okay, so I'm from not far from here, from Fort Pierce. Grew up, born and raised. Just north of here, and really I was around the water a lot, surfing, fishing, loved it, great spot for that. And, I was kind of a goofy kid, clumsy, except for the baseball field. And just seemed that I just seemed to flourish in that sport. I enjoyed playing, and, I was always the smaller kid until I was about, I don't know, maybe my sophomore year in high school.
Boy,
and then,
that sure has changed.
Yeah, so once I grew, I knew that I had a real chance. So I grew my sophomore year, and I went from throwing 84 miles an hour to 94 miles an hour over a summer. And
Wow.
that just let me see that I had a real chance to make it. Maybe get a college degree or possibly go pro. So that's when things started to get really serious.
And so you went on to college, and
So I ended up getting drafted after high school by the St. Louis Cardinals. I signed a letter of intent to go to the University of Miami, but the Cardinals made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I went pro right away.
you did. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that just a little bit. Because we see the kids, football and baseball, and the sports coming out of high school and doing that. And that's to do that. And I've seen you as a father and the grounding that you've given your kids and how your work ethic and all of those things, because I had the privilege of having a little conversation with you on the ship. That doesn't always happen. So what would you say to any parents out there that have athletes that want to...
I really think it depends on the age, but before high school, I think the biggest thing to remember is that it's about having fun, and the kids need to enjoy it. And if they don't, realistically, I don't think they're going to have a chance to make it beyond that anyway. And the realistic number of somebody making it to the big leagues is maybe 2%.
Is
and maybe,
it really?
Yeah, and of the 2%, 5% get more than 5 years there. So I think you really have to take a look at that and my kids are 9 and 11, so I'm around the ball fields quite a bit these days, and it just seems like, parents are taking it so serious already
and they get
at this
into
age.
fights with the refs, and I'm going, what are we showing our kids?
Right.
In the way of an example here.
Yeah, so I think you just got to remember it's fun. Keep it fun for them, and if they start gravitating towards it, then great. And for me, before you get to high school, it's all about fun. I think as you become a high school athlete, you probably start to see signs of if you have a chance to go beyond high school, and then you start taking it a little bit more seriously. But before that, just enjoy it.
What happens when you get signed and there's a whole lot of money there? How do you stay grounded? You've got to have great parents. For one thing.
Yeah, I think it's that, the way that gets handled is individually. And I think for me, when all that happened, really, I felt like life is going pretty good right now for me, and I want everything to stay the way it is. So I didn't even buy a car for 6 months.
But
I'm
does
different
that come
than a lot
from
of people.
family? Does that say, wait a minute, you're now kind of a big shot here and you're making a lot of money, so let's put some in?
I don't want to say it came from my family, no. But I think in my maturing process, just looking around, watching, I didn't need more attention. That's what I was kind of trying to stay away from, right? I didn't need the Lamborghini and this and that. I just could foresee that was going to be trouble. I wanted things to stay the way that they were, to a certain degree at least. And,
How old were you when you were signed?
I graduated high school at 17. So I was drafted at 17, and then I didn't sign until late August when I was 18.
I didn't even want my kids to go to major college. I wanted them to do junior college because I don't think you know what you're doing at 17.
I totally agree with you.
And they did, by the way, and they did really well.
Good.
And they did really well in college, got their degrees, graduated, top of their class. But, I'm sure they wondered what I was doing with them.
Yeah. I think there's that, once again, that's that maturing process, right? And each child's different. And each child's different at each age.
Well, you grew up in a small town, too, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Fort Pierce, a little cattle town and beach and fishing.
Kind of like the Midwest.
Yeah. I loved it and still do. I mean, it's some of the best fishing that you're going to get, and that's one of my main hobbies now. So
is it really?
It's carried over, yeah.
I heard you also play golf.
I do. I try to play golf. I'm a better fisherman than I am a golfer.
Do you, so after you got signed, God, that had to be, see, that's a heady trip for just even me thinking about one of my kids. When they got some big award, I was like, okay, but let's go to the, and there was, I don't know, how long ago was that?
So that was 22 years ago, 42 now.
The money was still pretty decent. I mean.
It was, yeah. I got $2.5 million at 18.
You got to be kidding me.
Mm-mm.
Did you have a handler or somebody that?
So at the time, Scott Boris was my advisor. He's an agent and one of the bigger agents in the sports world. So he became my agent, and he had, there's people there that help you. So let's call them your handlers there. But also there's a financial company that he was involved with. So basically sat down with them, went through everything, and they helped me out from there because I would have had no idea what to do. Yeah, exactly.
What kind of student were you in high school?
Terrible.
Me too. But see,
I wasn't interested in school.
No.
And I honestly, I didn't even read my first book from front to back until I was about 21. And from 21 to 25, I read a lot. I got so excited I actually finished a book that I got really thirsty for knowledge and started reading. And at that point, I was like, I think I could have been a better student. I was more interested in it
that was me.
Yeah, but during high school, I wasn't interested in school.
I always was told I had a lot of potential. I thought if I ever heard that word again, and I was very much right-brained. So if we'd had a Dreyfus, I'd have probably done well. I think I graduated third from the bottom of my class.
Okay. Yeah,
I flunked every math, science, biology. I did okay in drama and journalism and anything to do with the creative.
I was great in PE.
Yeah, I bet you were. I bet you were. Did you play other sports in high school?
No, not really. Our athletic director, Danny Neinstein, was actually one of my umpires growing up. Just had him in Little League and Babe Ruth and all that. So my freshman year, he goes, listen, I know you have an arm. I know you can really throw the football. I'd like you to come out and at least try. Because I told him, I've never played football, organized football anyway. He says, come out and at least try. So Eric Jinks was he was kind of the quarterback of our town. And he was the starting quarterback, and he was a friend of mine. And I felt like there was tension there, and I could have cared less. So anyway, 2 weeks into practice, we didn't practice one pass. So I said, listen, man, this ain't for me. We haven't even thrown one ball. Like, I'm good. So that was my football career, about 2 weeks of practice.
You got some interesting DNA going on here, I think. So now we've been signed, and what was do you go to the minors first?
You go to the minors. Yeah, so I started off in low A. My first year was low A, and then I ended in high A. It's a learning process of, you're away from home, no adults. But, yeah, I had roommates. And for me, it was a lot of fast food, long days on the bus. But I liked all that. Loved fast food. I loved being around the guys. So I really enjoyed it. And then you grow, obviously. You're away from home, so you grow up a little bit while you're in that process.
In order to get that kind of money to be signed, you must have been one heck of a player.
I was, yes. I was rated number one in the country for high school players as a pitcher.
Yeah.
It was getting all the attention, and it was,
Homecoming king, too?
No.
Oh, good. That's good.
Eric Jinks, we'll go back to that. He was the homecoming king.
Is he still around?
No, he actually passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, but I thought maybe you were still in touch with him.
I would be if he.
Well, maybe he's watching.
Right? Definitely.
You think so?
Definitely.
What else there's so many things I want to ask you. So now you're in the minors. Mm-hmm. And I guess the people that decide how much money you're going to get have a really good eye. So I read a little bit about you. So you were a pitcher, but you were also an outfielder.
Correct. So
you also were a home run king.
Well, I hit I was a good hitter in high school, but it was very evident that my fastest way to the big leagues was pitching.
Left-handed?
Left-handed. Was blessed with an arm from the heavens. So I'm throwing mid 90s. I can touch high 90s, and I had a really good curveball. So I dominated the A ball, low A, dominated that, and then. My next year, started in Double A. I went Double A, Triple A, big leagues that year. So I got to the big leagues in that second year.
It's like the dog chasing the bus. You caught it.
Yeah.
Now what?
Right. Exactly. But it was a fun process. I mean, along the way, you're, as a young kid, my dream was to be a big leaguer, and you can see all your dreams starting to happen right before you. And up to this point, I really hadn't had any challenges as far as hitters go. I was doing really well, dominating, and like I said, your dreams are unfolding right before you. So it's a neat time.
What do you think about the movie? Did you see Field of Dreams?
I did. I thought it was a good movie.
Yeah, I bet.
There's been some good baseball movies out there. I think The Natural's my favorite one with Roy Hobbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. And
kind of how my career went, to be honest. Started as a pitcher, got hurt, and then ended up as a hitter. It was like destiny, I think.
So you got hurt as a pitcher.
Well, I went through something called the Yips. So I think a lot of people out there can relate it to golf, right? You see people with golfers, they go to chip, can't chip. So for me, I couldn't throw. I just lost my ability to throw strikes.
Because you had a physical injury?
No.
No?
Mental. That's why they call it the Yips, the whiskey fingers. There's not even a real name for it. Nobody really knows what it is. But, all of a sudden, I just couldn't throw strikes, and just bizarre.
That is bizarre. That's fascinating to know.
Battled that for about 4 years, and then realized, this is no way to live at 24, 25 years old. I don't think this is healthy, and what does this look like 5 years from now? Long story short, ended up switching to the outfield, and then became an outfielder and made it back to the big leagues as an outfielder 2 years later.
How did you tie Babe Ruth?
So Babe Ruth and I, there's a couple stats. I think one of them is... Shohei Ohtani is starting to jump into the mix, too, because he's another guy that's hitting and pitching right now. But I'll take Shohei out for the minute. I think Babe Ruth and I were the only people to have 10 starts as a pitcher and then hit at least 50 home runs as a position player. I think we're also the only people to have started a playoff game as a pitcher and then later start a playoff game as a position player or homer in the playoffs. I don't know. There's a couple of them out there, but anytime you hear your name in a sentence with Babe Ruth, you feel good about yourself.
Yeah, you sure do. By the way, speaking of pitchers, because I had an advertising PR firm for a long time here in the county, Whitey Ford was involved in a condominium. He was one of the partners, and we did the opening. Of course, he did throw out the first ball, and I got to meet him, but. Those names are something that is and yours will be too. The longer it goes.
Yeah, they're historic.
They really are. In fact, my first husband wanted to name my son either Mickey Mantle or Roger Maris. He ended up, his name is Paul.
So you won that battle, I
Yes,
guess.
I did. Maybe if he'd been a Cleveland Indian player, I would have thought second, but we were living in Connecticut, so that didn't work so well. But anyway, I just love baseball, and I had baseball cards every day of my life. Why did we throw those out?
Yep.
But I lived with Bob Lemon and Pearsall, and it just Boone. And now the son, I think, plays, right?
Son is managing the Yankees.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm. Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I liked his dad a lot. I had his baseball card. I just, I don't want to see what's happened to baseball, what's happened to the rest of the sports. And I want to talk a little bit about that. It worries me that we are not going to stay America's favorite pastime, the American sport. And I know money, but... So talk to me a little bit about the lockdowns and what you think these guys go through now that you didn't have to go through.
I think social media is probably the one that stands out the most, for better or for worse. But, everybody's, you make a mistake and it's getting magnified times 100. And I think players now really have to be careful of social media, right? If anything you post on there is on there forever. It's never coming off. And I think you could be in a bad mood or maybe you had a bad day, bad game, whatever it is, and you go fire off on there. Maybe it's something you maybe didn't want to say really, but you did it and it's too late. But, it's a different game now. And I'm with you. It worries me too that we won't be America's national pastime possibly, but
when they think of baseball, they literally think of apple pie and motherhood and all things good and wholesome. And I really get, and it's not because the old days were better, because not necessarily, but some of the things that we're doing today are much more harmful than when I grew up. And I'm saying, if we start on baseball, that's a road to something I don't want to see.
It just seems like life was a little bit more simple in the past.
That's why I love this radio station, by the way, because they play the 50s, 60s, 70s, little 80s music. And I have found now, with the world being a little upside down, to say the least, people, our ratings, they were always good, but they're up because people want to go back to something they remember to be somewhat decent, normal, whatever, So Hound Dog and Elvis Presley are a big hit these days.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think along, too, with social media, when you look at baseball as a sport, it's slower. And the younger generation is so used to scrolling. Their attention span is short. They're so used to social media the way that goes that them sitting and watching a 4-hour baseball game isn't working.
I wonder if we're going to kind of readjust now that Twitter's going to be sold to the space guy.
Right.
This tickles me. You know, it's kind of like technology is wonderful, but there's no value system with it. So they don't think about the unintended consequences. It's
Right.
like Edison didn't think, he thought he was going to light the world. He didn't know it would electrocute anybody. This has got to have some kind of a balance back again.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean to throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? But, you know, my kids and my grandkids, you want to look at the cell phone during dinner, you pay.
Yep. I agree with that. You know, we have the same rules in our house. I mean, during dinner, we're present with each other, and let's talk about our day, and then you can go back to doing whatever you want, but you're going to be present at the dinner table.
Exactly. How many kids?
We have two little boys.
And are they? Well, I know you're not.
Yep.
You're probably not pushing them at all. So really,
No, I don't. I don't.
know, and you wouldn't
Yeah.
just.
I want them to have fun.
But did they take to baseball?
The older one did not. He likes basketball, football. He's left-handed. That's the one that was on the cruise with me that you met.
So adorable.
And then my younger one, who's 9, he plays everything, but he likes baseball too. So I help
God
coach.
gave you lots of gifts. I mean, just think if you'd have had all girls. They've been in sports too.
I'm with you. Yep.
No, wait a minute.
I would have taken a girl, and I say that because I've always been told that, you know, boys are boys. They grow up, they want to leave and go start their own families, and the daughters stay around and take care of dad. So
See, and I've got one son and 2 daughters, and I was always told with little boys you worry, little girls you pray. I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got lucky. So I have 3 of them that take care of me. Pretty
Awesome.
much. They're also bossy. They think they're in charge now, and that makes them feel good. So I let them think that,
there you go.
unless it's really important.
It's all perception, right?
Yeah, no, it makes them feel good. You know, they're gonna tell me what to do and how to do it. And when COVID was on, they were going to put an ankle bracelet on me. I think and they feel good about that. So up until most things, and then every now and then I go, no, I'm still here.
Right.
And I'm still the mama bear. So you know,
I got this.
yeah, I got this one. So after you had baseball, and then how many years
16 total. My last year playing was 2013.
for the Cardinals, or did you?
I went from the Cardinals to the Royals, Braves, Nationals, Astros, Mets, in that order.
Wow.
Finished with the Mets. Yeah, it was fun. You know, I was with the Cardinals for 12 years, so I was there by far the longest. But, you know, the cool thing about playing for other teams is you get to meet a lot of other guys.
Right.
And so the contacts you make, I think, are invaluable, especially for me. I took 13 was my last year playing. 14 I took off, spent with the family. And then 15, I took a mentor role with the Nationals. So I was coaching and helping
nice.
those guys out. I enjoyed that. And then in 16, I wanted to try TV. So I started TV with the Cardinals, and I've been doing TV with them since.
Oh, you have. Mm-hmm. So you're doing announcing like.
Yeah, so I usually announce about 60 games. So sometimes it's pre and post, or sometimes
Those
you
are
call,
cool. That's
you call
very
the
cool.
game.
Jim Palmer lives in Palm Beach, and I know that he still announcing, and people love it.
Yep.
Because he's got a sense of history, and he can talk about. It's kind of like when I had Barry Weinberg here. He had more stories, and my favorite one was he shared a locker with Mickey Mantle.
Yeah,
I mean, really?
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barry is the trainer of the Stars. So I'll tell a quick story about Barry. So Barry, I was in Atlanta. I'm not playing for the Cardinals at this time. Barry was still with the Cardinals. And I'm in Atlanta, and we were going to eat. We're in Buckhead, and it was my wife and I. We were going to eat at P.F. Chang's, and there's like a 45-minute wait. So my phone rings. It's Barry. He's like, hey, I got to ask you something. I was like, all right, cool. He's like, what are you up to? I said, well, I'm sitting outside of P.F. Chang's just waiting to eat. He's like, yeah, hey, you know what? Let me call you right back. I'm like, all right. So I hang up. So like 3 minutes later, the manager walks out and says, hey, Rick, I got your table. Barry called.
Yeah, he
You know?
did. Well, his book is Eating My Way Through Baseball.
Yep.
He did the best stories, and now our sport. We have a wonderful sports show right before mine, and Mike is just great, and a couple other guys. They do it from the dog track, or now the Kennel Club, Palm Beach Kennel Club with the Rooneys, whom I love, and I know that Mike's going to want to talk to you. But anyway. They have Barry on.
Yeah.
They had Barry on his
Yeah,
show.
he's the best. I mean, and it's tickets to anything. If I wanted to go to a Broadway show in New York, I'd just call Uncle Barry, and all of a sudden I'm getting in. He's the best.
Well, he has some kind of magic to him. He's truly cares, number one. I mean, you could feel it as he told his stories.
Yeah.
And boy, has he got some.
Yep.
I've never seen the Cardinals play, and I'm going to this next spring training, get myself up. Mike Bauer, please. I will come up in for sure. And I think we've had a relationship with the Roger Dean, and we're going to do it again. Of course, COVID came, and so nothing happened. But and I've been up there then. But I guess I've seen the stadium. I've been there, but you guys weren't playing, so I'm going to have to get. I got the thrill of having one time gone to a game as in a box to watch the Cubbies.
Nice.
And I'd never been.
Was it in Wrigley?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it is.
Yeah.
And my kids had all been there, and they said, "Mom, wait." And I thought, what? It's a baseball stadium. No, there's something about Wrigley Field that is about as American as you're going to get. And I was so then. Fast forward, the Cubbies were in the World Series with the Indians. Now I've got this. So.
Were you there?
No, but I was trying to figure. I was like a crazy person trying to figure out my loyalty because I really, they were both in the cellar for so long. Yeah. So I said, well, then it doesn't matter because you love them. The Cubbies were just so special.
Yeah, it was also. My wife and I were at Game 3, 4, and 5 of that series.
Were you really?
Yep. So our favorite city is Chicago. Always had a great time there. We were, and this is how special Chicago is, because this doesn't happen a lot of places. But my wife and I were out to dinner after we were playing the clubs, and I'm still with the Cardinals. We were at Gibson's Steakhouse, and the manager walked over about 3/4 of the way through dinner, and he was like, "Hey, listen, I don't want to bother you, but thanks for coming in. We appreciate the rivalry over all the years. Dinner's on us." And that's at a visiting city.
That's the Midwest.
That doesn't happen. But we've always loved Chicago. The cool thing, too, is most of the games are day games when you're playing the Cubs. So if you have family and friends come in, it's like a regular life. You can go out and have dinner after, and, it's cool. So.
And somebody said to me, you like them because of the name. The Cubbies are just kind of warm and fuzzy, whatever. And I want to see that kind of sense and that kind of spirit come back. That's why I love doing the show, to talk about things that are good, because there's more good out there than there is bad. I really believe that. Yep. Do you spend any time with the Little Leaguers?
I'm around my kids' teams, but I still announce for the Cardinals, and then I have a water mold restoration company here as well. So
I want to talk about
busy.
that.
Okay.
But tell me what made you decide to go on to something else after baseball.
Well, I'm still announce, and I'm always been curious about the business side of things, because my life has consisted of, I show up at the ballpark, I do my job, I get paid, I leave, right? So what's it like to be a business owner, and what does that look like behind the scenes? And just, the opportunity came about with the water and mold company, and, I have a great business partner who's owned businesses over the years and still has a business now. So I knew he understood what to do behind the scenes and whatnot. And I thought, what a great opportunity to learn and a chance to help the community out. So, it's been cool. I've enjoyed it, learned a lot. Still continue to learn.
So what is it?
So water and mold restoration, if you walk in your kitchen and you have water all over the place, or if you find mold in the drywall or in the walls, we remediate all that. So it's all dry of the Treasure Coast. And, it's been good. I've taken the leadership qualities that I've learned from Tony La Russa, who's a Hall of Fame manager of mine, and Bobby Cox, watching how they ran teams, how they treated people, just the way they went about things. I brought those same qualities into the business.
Wow. Rick, in today's world with corporate America, we could use a little more of that. I used to think corporate America was going to save things, and they did. They started things with charities. They gave back. And I don't know. We're kind of in a funny spot right now. So to have a corporate culture that is one that has grounding like you're doing is refreshing.
Yeah, it's been good. And listen, I'm born and raised here. So
how many employees?
I think I'm about 16.
Really? Mm-hmm. And you take care of all of Palm Beach County?
Yeah. So we service from Palm Beach County to Vero Beach.
And what made you decide to do this particular kind of company?
Well, COVID hit and baseball stopped, and I was looking into a restaurant. And I'm glad I didn't get into the restaurant business, just because when COVID happened, you learned wow, that's been a kick in the butt.
Yeah.
And
there's not much margin either.
Right. And you're looking at when you look at the water and mold business. Really it's recession-proof, because people are going to have water and mold damage regardless,
especially in Florida,
especially where we live. And so I like that. And then, my sister had an issue where she had a bad deal from a water mold company. So the more I got into it, you learn that there's some bad people in this business, like every business. But I thought, we can get involved in this. A friend of ours owned the company that was here for a long time, and I know how he runs and does business, which is great. So we're like, why not, try to give back and do things the right way?
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great. So if you think about your entire career, which is pretty amazing, actually, what's the thing that really gives you real joy beside your kids, which is always, you're a great dad. I saw the results in your son. But what really, concerns you that you want to get back to, that you can fix or try to be part of in today's environment?
I think when I look at my career, the thing I'm the most proud of is just not giving up. Showing up every day, all the hard work that I put in. And I've been told that, hey, you work too hard. Well, I can look in the mirror and sleep with that.
Exactly.
I don't think I would.
If that's a bad quality,
right,
I'll take it.
Right. I think if you look at it the other way and you had regrets, that's something that'll linger with you. And I don't have that. I gave it all I had. It was a fun journey. Learned a lot. Met a lot of cool people. And I think the thing with my kids is I try to explain through them with my career, like, I started out as a pitcher and I wanted to be the best pitcher on the planet or ever, but things don't always work out the way you want, but you keep showing up and you keep trying and other great things happen. And I became an outfielder and played another 8 years in the big leagues as an outfielder. So other than that, it's just, I think now my purpose really is trying to help them find their joy and their passion and their purpose.
Right. What a great goal.
Yep.
The other thing I want to ask that I'm always curious about is you've got the NFL that wins the Super Bowl, but it's different when you have a Super Bowl ring than when you are a Hall of Famer. And I can never figure out, because it's more than the sport, isn't it?
You mean like a championship ring versus the Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a testament to how good you were against everybody you played against your entire career, right? Versus you were on a team, you were good, you won the championship. I'm not taking anything away from that. Awesome. But to be a Hall of Famer in any sport, I mean, that's, you're being...
I just noticed the difference because we were blessed to have Dawson from the Marlins come on. And I watched yours, and the rest of all of you were most valuable players. So take nothing away, please, in your career. Mm-hmm. But I watched this sense of respect when he came in.
Yep.
I just saw it. It was in the energy. It was in the body language, and I thought, I don't see that in any other sport. So I just wanted. Do they have more than the athletic talent? Is there it's kind of like the Heisman. You've got to be a good football player, but you've also got to have the character and the leadership and all those things. Is that what goes into that as well?
Well, I think two things. One is in baseball in general, whoever has the most time on the team, right, sets the rules. They play whatever music they want. It's just the way that's the way the clubhouse is run. It always has been, right? It doesn't matter. It just, I remember a time we had Eric Davis and we had Mark McGuire and Sean Dunston and some other players, and Mark was playing music, or somebody asked Mark what he wanted to play, and Eric got a little ticked about it. And the next day when we came into the clubhouse, he had him write everybody's name and who had the most time, days, minutes, seconds on a board. And he's like, this is who makes the decisions. It's me.
And there you are.
And that was just one of those things. But that's the way the clubhouse has always policed itself. Now, when you talk about Andre Dawson coming in, a Hall of Famer, that's just the way the clubhouse is going to be, and you're always going to have that respect of, and you're the guy, you're a Hall of Famer.
It was fun for me to watch that. I thought there's something different here.
Yeah.
And, we were thrilled to have him because he's a Hall of Famer, but I didn't really know what the ingredients were that went into that.
It's a respect factor. I mean, not only was he one of the best players of his time, but he stood the test of time. And that says something. I mean, to be able to go out there, baseball's 160, you play 162 games in 185 days. So there's not much time off. And, to play it for 15, 20 years and be one of the best, year in and year out. I mean, it's amazing. It really is.
Who's your hero? Or who are
that's
they?
a great question.
There may be more than one. It's kind of like singers. What's your favorite song you sing? So
yeah,
it's a tough one, I know.
Growing up, it was baseball players, right? I was Ken Griffey Jr. I was a huge Braves fan. Growing up down here, right? TBS. I think there's a lot of Braves fans down here, but all the Braves players I loved. It was like religious in our house to watch the Braves every night. The Braves were on, and I think for a long time, I seen those as my heroes, and now, I still do. And when I get a chance to meet those guys, it's one of those moments, those aha moments.
What are the players that you didn't meet but have read about? Whether it's Mickey Mantle, whether it's Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah, there's one right there. I would have loved to meet Mickey Mantle.
Would you?
The stories that you hear about how good he really was. And, what the guys say, they're like, listen, he could run like a deer.
Really?
And he had the power of anyone. He was as strong as anyone. It's just incredible. So when you hear the guys tell stories like that, whether it's Andre Dawson telling stories or, Whitey Herzog. We do the Cardinal fantasy camps, and Whitey will start telling stories about the old days, and it's just
fun.
Jaw dropping. Yeah, you're like a little kid sitting there listening to the best stories ever.
Heck, can you share one?
I'll try, but it's more about just, he'll just start telling you about a moment. Like, let me tell you about this game. And the cool thing about Whitey is, when he tells stories, it's like, it was a cool breeze, not a cloud in the sky. Like, he just paints the picture for you, and it's amazing the way he goes about it. But they talk, in the 80s, the Cardinals were, they stole bases more than anyone. They were just a hard-nosed team. And he just tells stories about, how he went about that, why he thought that would work. There's things like that. There's nothing specific, but just listening to it's amazing.
It's got to be because, Barry's a great storyteller, by the way, Barry Weinberg. And so I ask him when I'm asking you, so it was like pushing a button with him because he's the one that tells those stories that you guys enjoy listening to. So what do you think is your biggest concern? And I don't mean Republican or Democrat. I mean in the country, in the school system. You've got kids.
Yep.
So let's talk about your family a little bit.
My biggest concern is division. The divide we have happening with people. And to me, it seems like the media is pushing it way more than what happens. In my daily life, right, walking around, I don't feel it like I see it on the media. But that's what concerns me the most is just people separating and causing, angst amongst people because of
anger.
Yes, people are angry.
Really angry.
Confused. I think people are confused.
Well, and also underinformed, not stupid.
Right.
But you don't know who to believe. So you've got the social media that weighs in again, the blogs, the whatevers, and then you read the headlines. I always tell people on the show, don't read the headlines.
Right.
Go see your neighbor.
Yep.
Bar eggs from your neighbor. Don't do it with Amazon. Don't order the ladder you need for tomorrow from Amazon. Go next door, say hello to Joe, ask how his wife is, see his kids, and by the way, can I borrow your ladder?
Right.
How's that?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's because you come from baseball. I'm telling you, you guys, do you speak to schools at all?
I have, but it's not on my daily calendar.
See, I just think the education system is, I'm not sure what it is today, but all sides, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, it's confusing. I think that's hit it on the head, right? Like who do you believe? And it's like every time you turn around and you think you can believe one thing, it's a mess.
Yeah. And so how do we unmess it with people? See, people that have done things in their life that have beat the odds, and you have, I look to say, can you tell your story more? Can you get out there and tell kids, no, you do have to have a work ethic. And no, you can't live at mom and dad's till you're 30.
Right.
And it's not you're not going to get handed anything. I don't know where that went.
Yeah, well, you know what I've seen less of? Because I have kids, I've been paying more attention to it, is, it seems now like all the movies that come out, right, are just these trucks and, whatever, killing each other, or whatever it is, these superhero movies, which great. But you just don't see the movies like Rudy and the underdog stories coming out anymore, which is we've tried to go back and play them movies from the 90s or 2000s, those underdog stories to let them see what's even possible.
Yeah.
Right? Because watching the Transformers or whatever, hey, it's all, listen, I like the movies too, but I don't think they see the hard work and what's even possible to be done.
They don't. And and the games and the computer stuff is so violent. And there's no, it's really funny when there's a family movie on the big screen, it sells out. Why? So if you're going to follow the money and be greedy, that's great. But why don't you follow that money? Because people want that.
Yeah.
It's Top Gun.
Right.
Right?
Right. Yeah, we took our kids to watch it. We watched the old one the day before, and then said, "All right, we're going to watch the new one."
Apollo 13.
And they loved it. Right.
Forrest Gump.
Yep.
Field of Dreams.
I love Forrest Gump.
Oh, I do too. And I just, my kids kid me, but they lean that way too. I watch Hallmark.
Yeah.
I'm into Matlock and Miss Kitty.
Right.
I just can't deal with it.
Yep.
And there's nothing. I have like 4 channels or
Yeah.
5. And I don't buy all the other stuff anyway.
Yeah. Well, all the content now, it seems supernatural, right? It's like vampires or this or that or Netflix.
Somebody
all
can
that.
make a lot of money out there if they would write some scripts that feel good.
Yeah.
Because boy, do people need to feel good. We
Yeah.
don't need medicine as much as we need feeling good, right?
Yep.
Tell me about your wife, who married this guy.
Yeah, my wife is amazing. She cheered for the Dolphins. We met through mutual friends. She's definitely my better half, and she takes care of me and puts up with my stuff. So it's amazing. But no, she's very smart, and she makes the household work, takes care, makes sure everybody's got what they need.
Well, you know what? That had to keep you grounded while you were playing, because it's hard to be married to a big guy.
Yeah, listen, athletes are selfish, and rightfully so. You have to be selfish to be that good at your craft.
Right.
That's the way it goes. And I think,
I think that's true of any career that's
Yeah.
a big deal.
Right.
Having been married to one of those.
And I'm sure that could be tough, and I know that was tough on her. And I think even when I retired in 2013, it's probably still took me 4 years or so to be like, wait a second, what do you mean it's not all about me?
Or, honey, take out the garbage.
Right.
That was always
Yeah.
mine. Take out the, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Garbage. Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been great. It's been a humbling experience. And I think that's one thing the kids do for you too, is you realize
Yeah.
that it's not all about you anymore. So
That's still a transition. Mm-hmm. And other than fishing, with your family, other than fishing, what with your family do you like to do the most?
that's it. I think days on the boat with us, just time spent together. Like I said, we'll watch movies together, and we have a really neat dynamic. I feel like it's an open table, but we can talk about. You're allowed to ask whatever you want, and it's been good. I don't know.
It'll come
I
back.
think
I'm here to
it's a
tell
learning
you.
process, right?
Yes.
There's no right or wrong way.
No,
You
there's no job
feel your
training
way through
either.
it. Right.
I brainwashed the kids from the time they were little. Listen, I have no idea what I'm doing, and people will say, "How did you raise these really great kids?" And they really are. They're very give backers.
Good.
And they're very successful, but more than that, they're just good people. And my oldest daughter and my kids will say, she said no a lot, and I love you a lot. It was very simple in our house. No.
Right.
But I love you, but no. And I don't know what's going on today. I've got to feel like, and I've got grandkids, and I hear myself in my grandkids, which is kind of cool. You wait till you hear your kids have kids,
Right.
and say, I think I started that.
Right. Awesome.
I'm hoping that we get it balanced.
What I've seen is parents try to be friends too much now instead of being a parent.
Gotta say no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta say no. You can do anything. You can be anything you want. I will support it. One of the greatest mistakes I made in my parenthood was my oldest daughter, Kimberly, who is doing so well. But she, when she was about 12, wanted to be a sports announcer. And this mother, who's got the most open mind in the world, you can be anything you want to be, said, "You'll never get in the locker room."
Right.
And I regret it today, as
Yeah.
every time I see a woman on sport, what was I thinking?
Does she bust your chops about it?
For a while she did, but not anymore, because she just took off like a big bird. She's
Yeah.
doing great things. She's, helping save in Everglades, and gave public service as a city commissioner, investment banker, and she has a consulting firm. And she just gives back a
Awesome.
lot. She
Yeah.
lives here, and I'm blessed to have her. She tells me what to do a lot. You're not wearing that. your hair is too long. It's too short. But that's okay. She's got good taste.
Right. Perfect.
So, and I'm going to make sure she hears this show too. And then my son is in Tallahassee, and he is a big deal and doesn't know it. But yeah, he was in government as a chief of staff for the chief financial officer and secretary of state and stuff. And now he's with a firm, and he too. And then my little one is coming home. She is on Wall Street as a partner and 3 wonderful kids. And finally, her youngest got through with high school and has got a soccer scholarship.
Awesome.
So she's bought a house in Delray with her wonderful husband, and I get her back in Florida. So I'm
Nice work.
I'm blessed.
Yeah.
And you've got that to look forward to.
We'll see.
Yeah. Oh no.
Time will tell.
Yeah. Somebody asked me one time what was my greatest achievement or whatever, and I said 3 kids, because it's an accident. There's no book.
Right.
I threw Dr. Spock away. They told me to count to 10 when I had to discipline them or tell them no. I'm thinking, oh, time to count to 10. So after I learned how many ounces to feed them when they were little, I just said, I love you. But,
Yep.
And I remember my little one said one time, I don't even have to do what I'm told. She was like 6. And I said, that's true. That's not true. You'll learn to love me later, but right now you have to do what you're told. And I don't get what I'm seeing out there, but it'll course correct, I hope. Don't you think?
Yeah. We'll see.
Are you
I hope
involved
so.
with schools? Are you involved with your son's schools at all?
What do you mean by that?
I mean, do you go to the PTA or participate?
No, my wife's, that's her category.
And they go to public school?
They go to Jupiter Christian.
Oh, they do? Mm-hmm. And you don't go to any school board meetings or anything?
No,
right?
I don't go to the meetings. I mean, I participate in the things I'm invited to as dad. But no. No, my wife handles that division.
And I remember you saying something to me, so I'm trying to get there. And that was, and the reason you took them, they were in public school, were they not?
No.
Or you didn't want?
No, they didn't. They weren't in public. They were not. I was trying to get them into public school.
Right, that was it.
And that's the COVID thing happened, and then the mask thing happened, and they had to wear a mask. And my wife was like, "No, that's not happening." So I lost that battle. I didn't fight too hard though.
I think I heard that on the ship. That's why.
Yeah.
I thought,
yeah.
And so they've got a good start. How old are they?
9 and 11.
Oh, you're in for this is easy.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when, hey, Dad, can I have the car?
Yeah. Well, they still think I'm cool now. Or kind of cool. I mean, they'll still hang out with me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I cannot even begin to tell you how much fun I knew this was going to be. So, but because you took an hour of your valuable time, if people have mold, how do they? Do you have a website?
I'll drive the Treasure Coast or waterandmoldhelp.com. The phone number is 772-888-2200. Again, that's 772-888-2200.
And so now you know, and look who you'll get to meet and have some nice conversation with. Do you go to the office every day? Do you?
No, it just depends. I'll do more marketing meetings and stuff like that, but it's just, it just depends
good
what's going on.
management and good stuff running well. I
Yep.
wanted to make sure that you got a good plug-in because you took your time to be here, and then I'm going to introduce you to Mike because he's going to steal you, I'll bet you, for his show at one point. And I think Iggy, our producer, who didn't tell me I needed lipstick throughout this whole show, so because I think he was probably doing something else and not doing his job. But we do love him, and I always give him a shout-out somehow or other, because if I couldn't harass him, it wouldn't be fun.
Agreed.
Right. So I thank everybody. He just put his hands up that I've got 1 minute. And so that's it. And except to say to Rick, thank you so much for playing baseball with us today. And keep the sport alive. Help do that.
It'll be a big league effort. Thank you.
That's my ask. Just keep it alive. And that's it for Inside Out for this Friday night on the wonderful True Oldies 95.9 in the Palm Beaches and 106.9 on the Treasure Coast. And we have some surprises coming up, so stay tuned for that. Just some expansion going on that I think probably some of our other guys will tell you about if I don't. I hope this weekend is a good one for you all and you're a good start for next week. Be sure to give those you love a hug. And this is it. This is Anita Mitchell, as always, wishing you green lights and blue skies. Bye-bye.